Are we good? Here we are, live. Woodward Pistons, Jeff Ifredi, Brandon Kool-Aid Den. And then we got our guy, the legend.
Well, I'm
Uncle
with
T.
two of my favorite people, Drumline and Juicy.
Wait, why is Brandon Drumline?
And I got my Drumline hat on.
Because of the movie Drumline. Looks
Okay.
like what's my man's name? Has all the babies.
Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick.
Now you don't have 80 babies by 70 women, do you?
No, not yet.
Okay. Oh, not yet. All right.
Hanging out with you,
I hear
we
you.
don't know what's gonna happen,
No.
bro.
I don't. I just have a bad reputation, but none of it's true.
I don't believe the rumors.
I
Terry.
wish it was.
I don't.
Oh
I really
goodness.
don't. But I want to ask Terry this to start because
Yeah.
and I gotta address the elephant in the room because I had this conversation with Adam today on a morning show. What are your thoughts on the Pistons right now, man? Just in general. I don't need you to dissect it, but just what you've seen. Are you confident in the future? You like the pieces they have? Dwayne Casey. I mean, talk about it all. What are your thoughts on it so
the
far?
Pistons to me are a team in development, and I understand a young man like Adam is probably trashing them, but what I see with the Pistons, I see a team that with a lot of talent, is young, it needs to develop, and they also need to develop a team concept on defense,
Like an identity.
right? An identity, but
Yeah, like
they don't have
connectivity.
that.
No.
But when we look at pro sports and anything, we always look at the offense. The offense is great and everything, but you gotta stop somebody at least for 5 or 6 minutes in a game because you're not gonna stop these teams. But I think they need a guy to come in 7'1", doesn't score a lot, but he's going to protect that rim. Because when you look at the guards in this league, you're not going to stop them. I don't care who you are. They're going to get around you. They're going to get to the cup at some point. But if you got somebody roaming and he can either alter the shot or block the shot, that's what you need. And that guy needs to be a little bit of an asshole.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Have that mean streak.
And I think, too, what hurts is you have Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren starting, and those two are your best interior defenders. So when those guys are starting and you go to your bench, you got Marvin Bagley out there playing, significant minutes at that 5 spot.
It didn't look good last night.
So, again, I think that's the unfinished product we talk about with this team is addressing that. And man, I mean, not saying you can get another guy like Jalen Duren because he's uber talented, but to Terry's point, you need some more guys. I mean, you need more wings too that are better defensively. I think that's a big one because you watched last night, Terry. I mean, I'm watching Lauri Markkanen, 7'1",
right?
European, he's white, out there looking like Dirk Nowitzki, Larry Bird. Where you get like 9 or 10 threes. Yeah, they can't guard anybody, Terry. They can't. I think you can get a couple buckets on them.
Probably could. At least I can get the shots off. They may not go in. I can get the shots off.
But overall, I think with the product you're seeing player development. So to your point, development, there's a lot of positive. I mean, Ivy last night, Duren, you got 2 rookies starting in your lineup, and they both played really well last night.
You know what they are? The Pistons are almost like a upgraded version of the G League team. That it's a bunch of guys that are really young.
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And they got, I mean, not only do you have to learn how to win, but you have to learn the league too. And that's a tough thing to do. And veterans, with a team like the Pistons, they can toy with them. I mean, like,
yeah, they can.
we'll it'll be a tight game in the first half, but then the third quarter we take over.
That was the Nets the other
right.
night. Yeah, literally the Nets.
And y'all try to catch up. I bet you can't do it. I think that's what that mentality is.
I watched Kevin Durant the other night, third quarter, say, you know what?
Just
I'm
absolutely
tired
took
of
over.
In the third, let me just score. Let me just get buckets real quick, and we're done playing around. And the Pistons had no answer for him or Kyrie. It seems like that's been a theme. Like lately, you don't have a guy you could throw at, and we talked about this. You don't have your Jeremy Grant. You don't have your guy you could throw at these guys and not stop them because Terry. I mean, you can't stop any. It's hard to stop anybody in this league. But you got to slow them down, and the Pistons don't have that guy.
Look, bro,
that can slow anybody.
Lauri Markkanen does not score 38 points last night if Jeremy Grant was on his team, or even if Isaiah Livers was healthy. Rob Beard brought that
That's
up.
a big point too.
Isaiah Livers was playing a really, really big role for this team, very like a Swiss Army knife. Obviously it wasn't like he was a superstar or great at some discernible skill set, but defensively he was one of our most versatile players, and we all believed he was going to contribute something. with guys like him being out, Cade Cunningham, he wasn't a zero on defense. With these guys being out, we're seeing the effect on defense. And then the young guys, they look like young guys. They look like guys who are trying hard. Like I've had the opportunity to coach and do camps and such. When you're teaching people defensive principles for the first time, they look like inexperienced players. No matter how talented they are coming into it, they look inexperienced. And you know what? Casey, he came to the podium last night. We were waiting. He was pissed. We were waiting. We were all in there. I thought I was late to the room, trying to get in some of the post-game stuff. And by the time they really got going, it was about 5, 10, 15 minutes. And he came to the table and was just kind of mad. I talked about this before, man. Where these guys pound on the table and all of that. And he was like, look, all we work on is defense. All we're trying to teach these guys right now is defense. Yeah, and they're individual. They may be doing offensive stuff and offensive sets and learning this and learning that. And like Ivy's working with Alec Burks on his mid-range. But they're sitting here working on defense, but they're not necessarily seeing the results. And I know that's got to be frustrating, not just for fans, but for the players, for the team, and for everybody else, because they came in saying that they wanted to compete this season.
Yeah, maybe the next step with the Pistons, they need to understand it's not just you playing good defense. Defense in any league becomes a team concept. Mm-hmm. And even I go back to the 2004 Pistons and the Bad Boy Pistons. Yeah, they had Dennis Rodman. Yeah, they had Joe Dumars, but they were funneling people to different areas on the court where they were uncomfortable. And sometimes it would look like, well, they let this dude open to make this jumper. Well, they knew he couldn't make it. So we don't need to be in this position. We put him in a position he's uncomfortable in. Yeah, he's got an open shot, but he's going to miss it.
Yeah. We'll live with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's chemistry too. I mean, you look at some of the more experienced teams, they're better defensively, and there's a lot of things the Pistons have to overcome. And they have veterans, but if you look at their veterans, I mean, Bojan, he can't defend. I mean, he is good as he is offensively. He is a liability defensively. And then you go down the list. Alec Burks, he's an okay defender. They don't have any veteran guys that are, good to elite defenders at this moment right now. They have young guys like Duran, who we think is a great defender at this point in time. He'll get even better. Ivy, I think, is a more capable defender. Killian Hayes, they're relying on a lot of the young guys. But the next step is, to me, it's you got to add a wing. And hopefully maybe they do that in the draft this year. Maybe you get Victor Wembanyama. Have you been watching a little bit of Victor?
I have seen him.
Have you seen a guy like that, built like that can do those things?
I've seen a guy built that way. And I didn't like him as a player, Ralph Sampson.
Ralph Sampson couldn't.
No, he couldn't. No, he was soft too.
Yo, do you guys think that the French gods are really going to see it the Pistons way? Are they going to make sure that Sick for Vic works out in Detroit's favor? I mean, we already got Killian Hayes here. We got a translator.
Yeah, and this is Detroit. It's not Detroit.
Detroit.
So
we're getting back to our roots and everything.
I can see that he can play. I'm just a little bit scared because I kind of wonder if that soft spot will come in.
Yeah,
if that's going to play a role. But
and you saw there was a clip of him falling. He looked like a giraffe. When
he does. Yeah. You know what?
He's so
you know
tall.
Who he moves like Manute Bol. Sometimes.
Bobo, even now you see little Bobo out there.
I see Bobo,
he
but
moves
like a giraffe.
Yeah.
I did want to get your thoughts on this. I know you got to get ready for your show soon, but the Pistons are building for the first time, in my opinion. They're rebuilding for the first time through the draft. I think the last time we saw something like this was the Bad Boys. I wasn't around when they were putting that team together. That was something that you did. You covered them, the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons, doing their championship run as well. You got to go back, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years before you find draft picks comparable to what I believe Troy Weaver's putting together. You look at that Pistons team where they drafted Isaiah, drafted Joe, drafted Dennis Rodman, among other players. And you look at this squad, Cade and Ivy, Duran. Are you seeing any similarities as it relates to the restoration?
I'm not going to say exactly the same, but it's pretty damn close. You got your centerpiece, Isaiah Thomas, Cade Cunningham. Now the debate is Cade Cunningham going to turn into a superstar? He may not. He may just be a damn good player. Then Ivy is your Joe Dumars, even though they were two entirely different players. Joe's more cerebral, and Ivy, man, can eat up that court.
Yeah.
Then but they got what Troy Weaver needs to do now. He got role player. I'm talking about Jack McCloskey with the Bad Boy Pistons. He got role player defenders. Dennis Rodman, John Sally. They were like a package. Rodman was going to guard you head up. Sally was going to play that help defense. So they added grit on there. And you know what else the Bad Boys had that everybody falls asleep on? They really had the first stretch 4, who was actually a stretch 5.
Oh, talk on it, man. You're right.
And Isaiah Thomas would set up Bill Laimbeer, 6'11" to hit that outside 3. And I'll tell you a story about that. The Pistons back then thought the Atlanta Hawks were the stupidest team in the NBA. So they ran this play called 4 out. And basically what it is pick and roll with Isaiah. If he sees something, he'll try to finger roll, get something. Or if he doesn't, he flip it to Laimbeer. So they ran that play 10 straight times. Scored 8 times. Atlanta Hawks like, oh, damn, look, let's call a timeout. So, the Hawks are in their huddle. How do we stop this? And so they're devising plans and everything. Chuck Daly, the Pistons coach, doesn't say a word. He just rolled his tongue for like a minute. The horn buzzes. And before they went out, everybody's like, damn, we're going to say something. And Chuck just said 4 out. In other words, we're going to run this stuff again because they ain't going to stop it.
That is the best story ever.
Jeez.
We go run it till they stop it.
Right.
Look, what I want to do is, as we kind of look at this restoration this year, I know the wins and losses are not what Piston fans wanted to see this year. The injuries is not what they wanted to see. I wanted to at least track how are they restoring, because when Troy Weaver talked about this being a restoration, he did liken it back to the Bad Boys. Kay Cunningham did too, which was interesting. Not that they skipped over the going to work Pistons, because they bring them up as well, but they went back to the Bad Boys. That's what they're restoring to. And when you see them doing it through the draft the way they're doing, the types of players that they're getting, a little bit of that grit that they're playing with now. The first draft class, we were trying to figure out who they were going to be. The Cade, Jaden Ivey, and Jalen Duren, I think those guys came in right away and were more sure. So we see a trend with what Troy Weaver is able to do. And I want to be able to continue as the season goes on to be able to compare them to what those Pistons are doing, having your insight and your perspective, and any stories that you can provide.
Right.
All of it, man.
I think they're developing grit. I wouldn't call them gritty yet, but I think Troy Weaver, his next thing, obviously he'll probably get Victor if the guy is there, but beyond that, he's gonna find somebody that you might look at and say, why did he draft this guy? He can't score, he can't do this, or he's not a big scorer. He's gonna find that gritty guy. And you have to understand, a guy like Rick Mahorn was a big player on the Bad Boy Pistons. He averaged like 8 points a game or something, but he played a huge role defensively, intimidation,
setting the tone
in the locker room. And the other thing, why I say they need a guy who's a little bit of an asshole, not necessarily an asshole to the opponent, but sometimes somebody gets rough on their own players. Like Ben Wallace used to, when he thought they weren't playing good defense, Ben gathered them up in the locker room and he lit them up.
That's true.
You have to have confidence in what you do. You have to believe in the concept. You have to believe in your teammates. You have to believe in your coach to be able to do that.
Yeah, man. Bro, that's great knowledge.
Now he's about to go on Big D Energy, 11-1.
Oh, yeah.
Big Word Sports. Go crush it.
Saturday. All right, y'all. Y'all be good.
Hey,
Juicy and Drumline.
look at this man's sweater. Look at he's got the Christmas sweater. He's got the Central,
Christmas, man.
It's
looking good, man.
I should have worn my Santa hat.
Yeah, that would have been the cherry.
Yeah, I like him, man. But you're looking fresh, though. Looking fly.
Always,
fly.
Dude. When doesn't he?
Jeez, did you have a few things you want to talk about too?
Before we end, a couple guys to watch for the draft, because I've been already starting my process.
Woo! Yeah, because that's where we got to go.
I've been looking into a lot of different players. One,
Uncle T. Foss.
COT. Shout Shout out to Uncle T, man. He's the real deal. Couple guys I like. I want to start off if because everyone talks about Victor and Scoot. I think the rest get lost. For me personally, so two guys that I'd liked at the forward position that I really want the Pistons to draft if they don't pick one is Brandon Miller, who I'm telling you, I think you'd like him a lot. And I know you mentioned it on Twitter. He's somebody I've been watching a ton of. I've been watching so much Alabama basketball this year. Another player, Cam Whitmore, out of Villanova. Great defender, 6'7", small forward. That's what I think the Pistons should target. If you can't get Victor, man, go get a small forward. Go get someone versatile who can play the 3 or the 4. Kind of like fill that void of what Jeremy Grant could do. Score and bring that defensive versatility. So those are that
two-way wing.
Yeah. And as much as I hate talking about the draft this early in the season, the cards were dealt. So
yeah, because what I was gonna get into is starting to work with Steve and working with you people who are going to be clued into the draft. Shout out to Steve as well. Res Ball Pod.
Brandon Miller. I want his thoughts on that too.
Yeah, definitely.
I love.
He's thorough, bro. He's so thorough.
Talking about a guy who's 6'9", 6'10", can shoot the ball.
Yep.
I mean.
No, I'm gonna see what should the Pistons strategy, their offseason strategy be, and I'm gonna start to track that too. Like some of our Piston trends every week needs to be what's the strategy looking like this week? Where are we trending towards? Because is it draft a wing? How are the board is starting to set up? Is it easier for them to go out there and find a big that can fit that kind of a-hole role? You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be an interesting thing because those are the two biggest holes on the roster for me. It's just another. Whether that frontline player is coming off the bench or starting, because I like the pairing of Stewart and Durant personally. I like what they've been able to do.
I like the potential,
but they do need another person who can come in and whether they're starting or come off the bench and just bring that bad A level of basketball play that we do identify with Detroit basketball. What I'm seeing from a lot of fans is that they're just upset with how the defense looks. They're like, we can take losses, but we want to see these guys play hard. I'm like, they're playing hard. It's just. This is what it looks like when you don't know what you're doing, when you're still learning, when you're still in progress, when you're losing players, when you're losing some of your better defensive players. This is what it's going to look like. When you lose Isaiah Livers and Cade, those are two people who could defend the 1, 2, 3. That's you're gonna feel that. Not that these guys would have made the Pistons world beaters defensively, but you're gonna see a difference. So moving forward, though, you can't have those guys be the ones that you mainly depend on. They need a bona fide wing. We talked about are people underestimating the loss of Jeremy Grant. We talked about that all summer. We said, guys, we understand what you think it might be on offense, but what about defensively? And now everyone's saying, we don't care about the offense. We don't care what these people are scoring. Their defense looks trash. And that's where we're seeing like the biggest hurt. Like even Kelly, it's not like he's a world beater on defense, but he was the type of player who kind of knew where to be. He knew how to rebound. He knew how to start fast breaks. He knew how to pass it up the court. There were so many intrinsic things that guys like him, Jeremy Grant, and some of the other veterans that were in the regular rotation.
Especially the philosophy they're running, which is switch everything. Like if a guy like Jeremy Grant, he can legitimately switch everything.
Yeah.
It helps that scheme a little more. And not having Isaiah Livers is huge too. I mean, that's another guy. So it's tough, man. But at the end of the day, they're not a finished product. This isn't the roster they're rolling into the playoffs with. There's still a long way to go. And you have tons of money this free agency to go out and spend or potentially trade for somebody. So future's still bright. I don't think the wins and losses to me dictate how I should feel about this core moving forward. It's as frustrating as sometimes it is. Overall, there's still a lot of things to look forward to. A ton of things.
Yeah, I see people they're talking. Obviously a little bit disappointed in the defensive progression of Marvin Bagley. That's the one to me where I saw him slim down in the offseason. I thought it was to become more versatile defensively, and sometimes people just don't have it. So you got to figure out what he can contribute and put him in his best positions to succeed defensively. And if that's being able to hide him or mask him a little bit better or playing him with a bruiser, because Marvin Bagley can get rebounds. He can contribute on defensive end, but obviously he's not a lockdown defender. He's proved he's not necessarily a rim protector either. He needs to play with one of those guys. Which means he's a 4. You are really what you can defend. And so I'm hoping the Pistons can go out there, get that bruiser of a center. I would love to see them get some. I don't care about the stretch of it all. I don't care about if this guy can shoot threes or not. I want to see one of those guys that can go out there and the other team has to consistently think, where are they on the court when I take my layup? Where are they on the court? Are they the ones setting the pick? Like, I want people to think about that.
Shouldn't that have Ben Nerlens? I know he's a little older and that's not the mold.
It just doesn't seem like he wants to be here. It should have been. You're right.
Yeah, that's kind of
You're right. Troy got the pieces,
right,
but then they got to perform.
Absolutely.
You're right on that
We'll
one.
see. But the Pistons, they got tons of flexibility. Trade deadline in February. We'll see what moves they make. But Troy Weaver, man, I'm excited to see what general manager he fleeces next because he's been on a roll. I mean, he really has. Every trade he's made, pretty much, it's been heavy one-sided. So I'm not too concerned. It's good to give Troy as much valuable assets as possible. We'll see what he does with them.
Yeah,
I have faith in him. That's why I have faith in him.
I know the next show is starting now with Woodward.
Yes,
so hey, listen, for Jeff Iafredi, for Detroit Kool-Aid,
We
obviously.
appreciate you guys.
For
man.
Terry
Seriously.
Foster. Yeah, everybody, man. We appreciate you all checking in. We're gonna try and do these things a little bit more regularly. After Jeff is off the morning show, when Terry Foster gets in, what's that, about 10:20, 10:30? We'll probably go live, multiple times a week
Chop it up.
just to chop it up, man. So definitely you guys put in the comments what you want to talk about next time. And then when you see it start to go live, hop on, let us know what you want to talk about. We got Terry here. We're going to continue to track the restoration of the Detroit Pistons, along with his perspective actually covering the team that the
Uncle
Pistons
T
say that
updates.
they're going to restore to.
We need the Uncle T updates. Man.
Uncle T
He'll give us
updates.
the perspective throughout the season.
I
That's
like
all that
it.
matters.
I like it.
The voice of reason.
Yeah. Hey, people are kind of agreeing, man, with the defense. And it's good to see. But yeah, till next time, guys. Oh, I guess I gotta go press end, huh?
Until then, we'll just stare at these people.
Definitely.
See you guys.
Peace out.